as you've run into the this towards the town, this elf has collapsed, unconscious, bloodied and unconscious, but not dead. I think it's probably time to roll initiative. You can see that there's towards the other edge of town. You can just about see through town. You can see that there is an ogre and a few goblins, which you've already deduced from your tracking was an ogre and 3 goblins and a 4th goblin on a wolf back. I'm pretty sure that was what I said anyway. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and the other ones are ahead. And a big old ogre. Yar! Doesn't he look ferocious? Arg, arg, arg. So, let's get into initiative order, huh? So, what you can see is this. You can see the edge of this, you can see the edge of this, you can see the edge of this, and then through this sort of gap that has been bust up in this wall here, through this gap here, you can see the back of a retreating ogre who is walking away. And you can infer from the noises and things that there are goblins on the other side of this ogre. Alright, from where you are, can you see that? You can probably, we've got a decent passive perception modifier, so we can probably hear the sounds of clashing, something clashing going on down here. Actually, just finishing clashing. So there's a sound of a goblin go just as you arrive. So Mel is going to hear this commotion going on at the other end of the village, the fact that there's some retreating goblins and things, and she's going to start zooming forwards. So she can go 50 feet. What's that range? So from where she was to where she is now, that's 68 feet. So she's just going to have to dash on her turn. Another 30-ish feet. There we go, yeah. So with 100 feet movement, Mel can actually go right up behind and flies above the ogre's head. So she's in melee with him, but the goblins are not. The goblins are not in melee with the bee, but she's like right behind his shoulders and head kind of area. That's all she can do on her turn. Then it is going to be Apis's turn. So here's how this works in case anybody is new to Twitch Tales and how it works. I'm going to put in a word in. I'm going to give you guys a word in a second, and you're going to put it in the chat if you want to be, if you want to have the responsibility of deciding what this first round of combat looks like and what you do on your turn. So if you want that responsibility, you don't have to, but if you want that responsibility, you can type in !ogre. Marie, first round of episode 7. Can you please acknowledge in the chat that you've heard that, and then you can start to type. I'll give you a few minutes to type it out. We do have a hunting trap, yep. Marie is here, awesome. All right, Marie, have a think about what you're going to do and write it out. No, there's no rush. So this is an unconscious ally who is wounded and down to 0 hit points, but stable. I'm going to tell you they're stable just so you don't have to waste a spell on them or anything, because you've only got 2 at this level. Don't want you wasting your spells. You can see over here that there's kind of a smashed up building that has been attacked and another smashed up building here. You can tell from this angle that there's somebody under rubble in this building here. And you can hear the clash of a sword against goblin leather from down this vicinity. You can't see it because of this building, but you can kind of tell that there's somebody there. Maybe it has just slain a goblin. Alright, so Marie says, this might be a bit stretched out. Can we talk to Varen first and strategize? You can, but that would be your round to do so, and you would give them a round to do something over there. The time is now. We are in initiative order, so you can take your turn to strategize with Varen. And if Varen decides to also take their turn to strategize with you, then you've got a round to talk about what you're going to do. But meanwhile, Mel's over there doing what she's doing. Given that we help people in danger, investigating the sounds of battle are probably the most prevalent danger. Says one part of your head. Power went out. No. Hope you got a full battery. How far away is the building to your east? Let me show you. So from you to this building is 42 feet. To this building is 29. To this building's 20-ish. From you to this building's 42 feet. To the other side of that building is about 60 feet. Need to find a spot where we can shoot from. Yeah, absolutely. So if you, for instance, were to move to like up to this wall right here, if you were to move up here, bing, then you can hang around this corner here and fire an arrow at this ogre from there. Murder the ogre! Screams a bloodthirsty part of Apis' mind. Want to check on the person who's just passed out in front of us, but not if it risks Mel and time is of the essence. Yep. All right. So I will say that because Apis has a passive medicine check of like 12, 13 or something. It's clear enough that they are suffering shock, but they're not that nothing has been mortally wounded about their head or torso. I'll say that they've got a broken leg or something, and so they've been bleeding from the leg. And they've passed out from the pain, but they're not in immediate danger of dying. That's always the toss-up though. That's always the challenge, isn't it? In the middle of a fight scene in any sort of action films or anything, does the bad guy follow after the bad guy who's getting? Does the good guy follow after the bad guy who's getting away, or do they stay to save the guy who's just been shot by the bad guy? What do? You could stay and help the person who's just been hurt and allow the bad guy to get away. Or you can go chase down the bad guy, hope that somebody else deals with the hurt person. Apis does help those in need, yeah. But I mean, either way, you're helping the people in need, right? You can definitely argue that either way is helping the people in need. Like you're helping them immediately with aid, medical aid, or you're helping them by A, getting their stuff back, B, getting revenge on the people that the ogre's killed, and C, preventing the ogre from attacking the 2 other villagers that are also in this area. So you're definitely helping them one way or another. Use the ruins to hide, maybe? Alright. Other priorities. We need to back up Mel, secure the village. The many over the few. Glance and move straight past them and get into a decent position. Alright, I'll pick the decent position. Alright. So Apis is going to, as you run past, you sort of make sure that they're okay. They seem to be sort of in and out of consciousness just from the pain. And then you, with your 25 feet of movement, you can't get too far, it seems. So you can either stop like in this tree here, Marie. That's 25 feet, and you can now kind of see this guy. So you can thread the needle through this space in the wall here. Attacking that ogre. I'll give the ogre 3/4 cover from there. Or you can use your action to dash and get in a better position, giving the ogre less cover for next time. It depends on whether you want to take a shot from on this turn or just get ready to make a shot for next turn. So what do you think? Stay there and take a shot, giving the ogre 3/4 cover. Mechanically, that means that they get a +5 to their armor class for the round. You don't have surprise, no. They've literally just been fighting the entirety of this village, and now they're leaving, so they know that they're still in a combat situation. They might not know that new people have just arrived in the combat, but they know they're in combat, so it's not a surprise. Shoot him! All right. So for a brief pause, Apis thinks, do I shoot here or do I run closer and shoot in a few seconds? But they think, sod it, let's go for it. They take a shot. So the Ogre has whatever armor class it normally has, +5 for this round. Let me just double check what that is. Ogre. Alright. So I know what we need to hit. We've got a decent chance, I would say. So let's roll an attack. Longbow. Here we go. We get a... what is it? 11 total. Is that right? D20? Yeah, 11 total. Unfortunately, we only rolled a 5 on the D20. So with an 11 total, you bring up the arrow and you fire it off, and it sails through this gap. It goes on this path. It goes through this gap here. It goes into these trees, but then it whiffs just past him and hits against one of these trees over here. So unfortunately, that was not enough to hit with his cover. So that was a movement and an action. We've got a bonus action if you want to take it. So as a ranger at only level 2, you don't have a lot of bonus action options available to you. One of the things you can do is cast Zephyr Strike as a bonus action if you wanted to, using up one of our 2 spell slots for the day and giving ourselves Zephyr Strike for the rest of this fight, or until we lose concentration. So what do you think, Marie? Do we use Zephyr Strike, or do we forego on that at the moment? Because I don't think there's anything else that we can do with the bonus action at this level. Thank you, Marie. There it is. Bonus action lets you move like the wind until the spell ends for 1 minute or until you lose concentration. Your movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Once before the spell ends, you can give yourself advantage on one weapon attack on your turn. The attack deals an extra force damage on a hit, and whether you hit or miss, the walking speed for that round increases until the end of that turn. So if, for instance, we use it now, then we could also use the advantage on the attack roll now, and I'll allow a retcon of that attack that we just did. And then our bonus would increase by 30 feet, so we'd be able to get closer. You reckon it'd be a waste now? Alright, we'll save it for another turn then. So that is the end of Apis' turn then. It is now the Ogre's turn. So, what's the Ogre going to do on its turn? It was moving away. It's just been destroying some elven houses, buildings, and stealing some loot and things. I'll explain more about the description of the Ogre once you can see more of him, but you can't really see him too well right now. So what's he going to do? I'm going to make an intelligence check for the Ogre to see if he knows that Mel is a threat to him. He hears this huge bee buzz up behind him. He doesn't necessarily know that that's going to be a threat to him yet, so I'm going to see if he just keeps walking or not. His intelligence check. His intelligence total was -2 because he's got a -3 modifier and got a natural 1. I think that's the lowest score I've ever seen rolled in D&D, because it's very rare that you get something that has a -3 modifier to something and then also gets a natural 1 during the fight. So the Ogre with a -2 intelligence to his check right now definitely doesn't realize that the bee is a threat to him, and so he just is, for his turn, he's going to lumber on forwards, which is exactly what Mel was hoping he would do, because now he has left her melee range, and what that means is she gets to make an attack of opportunity, a free attack on him, which is why she used her action to dash into his space in the first place. So as he moves out of her melee range, she's going to make a sting attack. That is going to be a +5 to hit. We don't have anything that's +5, do we? So I will just roll it in Roll20 instead. That is... I think that's just enough to hit. Let me see. Damn, no. It's just under enough to hit. So no, Mel misses, unfortunately. He steps forward, he lumbers, and then she brings a stinger down and whips it through, but she underestimates how thick his skin is, and she just manages to give him like a glancing scratch, and it doesn't seem to, he barely even notices it. Maybe his hand comes up and just itches the area. But he doesn't notice that she has even made an attack on him. Bugger, Mel. Bugger. Ugh. Alright, so then he is... What's his movement? He's going to move. He's going to continue to move. He pushes his way through these trees. Let's double check how far he can go. 30 feet? Let's see. How far has he got? Ogres. 40 speed. Ooh, so he's got even further he can move. So he moves all the way up to here. He's now caught up to the wolf that's out in front. That is the ogre's turn, so now it is the goblin's turn. Now, are the goblins noticing that there's any issues going on? Let's see. They're retreating. They're beating the retreat. They've got their ill-gotten goods and they want to get out of here. They hear this gigantic bee coming. Let's see. I'm going to just roll to see if they do notice anything. So this back one got a 7, so they don't notice. The next one got a 15 and does notice. Next one also gets a 15 and does notice. And with disadvantage, the one at the front gets an 11. I'll say that they don't notice. So these two notice, this one does not. They both sort of glance back over their shoulder and see Mel coming. And then they see just as she tries to sting the ogre, and they don't know where this giant bee has come from or why they're making an attack, but they think might as well take it out anyway. So while this front ogre is this back goblin rather is going to use its turn to just continue moving away, as is the goblin on the wolf. The other two that noticed are going to use their short bow attacks on Mel. So one of them is an 8, that's going to miss, and the other one is a natural 1, so that's also going to miss. In fact, since the natural 1 came from this guy at the back, I'm going to make this guy make a dex save because he might be in the line of fire. Nat 20, alright, so he doesn't get hit by his own friendly fire, as it were. But he also misses the target. So let's have a look. So this guy is going to go... He can use his action to dash, since he's not using it for anything else. I would have said the ogre's going to do the same, but I think the ogre with a -2 intelligence doesn't realise the need to run yet. So he's going to run to there. He gets all the way over here. These guys are only going to go 30 feet because they took a shot. And then the guy on the wolf can go 40 feet, 80 feet actually. He can go double speed because he's dashing as his action. Oh no, his action is to spur the wolf on, so we'll move him over here. Alright. That's all of the goblins. It's now our ally's turn, Verin. Ally. Verin is going to try and catch up to the rest of them, I think. What's he got? Let's have a look. What's speed? So thankfully he's a wood elf, so his base speed is already 35. So with 35 speed he can get to there. And with double his speed, with a dash, he can get all the way to here. And then he can bonus action Hunter's Mark in case they get away, I think. I think that's a good idea. So he's going to run over here. Let me move him on my DM screen. He runs over to this part. He contemplates helping these guys out, but he notices quite quickly that there's nothing he can do for them right now. Even if they are alive, they're in very bad shape, and there's nothing he can do to help them. He runs to here. That was his action to dash. And then with his bonus action, he is going to put a little Hunter's Mark on the ogre that's just getting away there. So that little green dot means that the ogre is Hunter's Marked. So even if these goblins and ogre get away now, you guys can track them much easier, because Verin, who is also a ranger, has cast Hunter's Mark on them. As he runs forward, he brings his bow out and he holds it up and he pushes it up with the hand, and then the grass around the ogre's feet seems to cling to the ogre's foot and break away, and then start to crawl up the skin, and the ogre's starting to get this sort of greenish tinge to the skin, which indicates his Hunter's Mark has taken effect. Alright, back to the top of the round. We've got a Mel. Mel is here now. Mel is within range of this ogre without even having to dash. Let me just double check that. So she is within range of the ogre. She's not quite within range of the nearest goblin. So without a dash, she can move to the ogre, and then she can get within melee of him, and then use her action to summon her militia, which I think is what she's going to do. So she flies right up behind him, and then as an action, she summons Mel's militia. So as she starts to scream out and order the insects of the forest nearby, all the trees, all the bugs from the leaves, and the insects that are buried under the ground, they start to just come to the surface and swarm around in an unnatural manner. She can summon them anywhere within 30 feet of herself, I think. Let me just double check that. She uses her Summon Swarms ability to summon a swarm of biting and stinging insects in an unoccupied space within 30 feet of her unoccupied space. The swarm uses the stat block of Mel's militia, which improves as Mel levels up. The swarm obeys only Mel's commands, no action required, and lasts for 1 minute, or until it reduces to 0 hit points or dies. Mel's militia. So they go at the end of Mel's turn, and they can move. And they can use their movement and then bite and things. All right, so she summons the swarm from just the surrounding forests and things. Let's zoom in a little now so that we can get more intent views on what's going on. Where is she gonna summon them? I think she summons them. I think they're pretty good at picking off the little guys, right? So she can go for the big ogre. You guys can take down the ogre while the swarm finishes off the little ones. So she summons the swarm within 30 feet of herself. I'll say she puts it like right there, so that, yeah, there you go. She's going to put it right in front of these guys to try and like break up the two goblins in front from the two goblins behind. That was her movement, that was her action. Mel doesn't have any bonus actions yet, so that's all she can do. End of Mel's turn. It is now the swarm's turn. The swarm will use its movement to enter this guy's space, and he's not going to have a very good day. Let's see how this plays out for him. Mel's militia bite. They have more than half their hit points still, so they use the upper half of their bite stat block, which gives them a 20. Oh no, wait. 12. 12 exactly. Is that what you need for a goblin? Let me double check. Armor class 15 with leather armor and a shield, so unfortunately a 12 is not enough to do enough biting damage to him. So they swarm. He gets his shield up above his head and he puts his scimitar down across his face, and although he's getting stung, it's not doing enough to cause any damage yet. But he's still going to have a pretty bad day, I imagine. That is Mel's turn. That's all that she can do. Apis' turn. Apis, you are up. So this is what you can see. Let's zoom right back out. This is what you can see. You're here. You've just run up to this tree. You took a shot through this wall and it missed. Then you saw Verin. You saw Verin run through the wall after you, and Hunter's Mark something that you can no longer see. These guys have complete cover to you. You can now move around this side here. You can move through this building here to keep up with Verin. You can dash. You can Zephyr Strike. You can whatever you want to do. But it is now your second round. So as before, we are going to put a keyword in the chat. Give me a second to decide what the keyword's going to be. The keyword this round is going to be run! Exclamation mark run. Oh, on the allies' turn actually, this mortally wounded one should have joined in. I forgot about putting her on the battlefield. So as you're contemplating what to do, you look down and see that there's an elf that is clutching her stomach from a pretty nasty slash with a scimitar, a goblin scimitar. She's got a longsword that's one-handed right through a goblin's throat. You can see it now because you run around the building, and she kicks sort of Spartan kicks the goblin back, pulling the longsword back out of it, and then she starts to hobble forwards. She's not giving up the fight yet. She is running after them. She gets to about there on her turn, and then she's going to dash, and she's going to dash through the trees to get to about here. She's just hobbling forwards, leaving a significant trail of blood behind her as she goes. She's quite built for an elf as well. Oh yeah, thank you. The HP in the top corner is incorrect, and 22 is incorrect as well, because I realised that in my home games, and this is no exception, I like to max out hit points at both first and second level, because it gives you more buffer to throw better monsters at you guys. So Apis' health is actually 26 at level 2, because we're a hill dwarf and we've got a decent constitution, so that's actually significant. It's actually very high hit points for level 2. Roll it! Svanna! Alright, Svanna. Can you make a comment of some kind so that I know that you're still here and you've... Yeah, perfect. Alright. Be nice to me, dice gods. Alright, Svanna, you take your time. I'll leave this open at this high zoomed out level so that you can see a little better what you expect of the battlefield, what you can see and whatnot. And then you let me know what it is that you want to do. If you want some options or you want some inspiration, just let me know, and I can explain what you can see and everything. If you can't quite tell because of how zoomed out it is, these are 2 elf children. You haven't actually seen them yet. This is an elf person under some rubble. This is Verin, unwounded so far. This is a dead goblin. This is a new ally, perhaps from the village. Where does the new elf fit in the initiative order? They fit in the initiative order under allies, which is where Verin is. Mel gets her own initiative because she's special, but Verin is just an ally, an NPC ally, effectively. Oh, sorry, I was pointing on the wrong screen. This one is the elf that's under rubble. This is Verin. This is a dead goblin. This is your wounded elf ally that goes just after Verin in the initiative order. Svanna says, "Let's follow Verin." All right, so let's follow Verin. Let's see how that works. So with 25 movement speed as a dwarf, you can barely make it inside this house. So you can get to there and then try and make a shot from there. Oh, you can't see that. Oops. It's the problem with using several screens. I keep forgetting which one you can see and which one you can't. So with 25 movement speed, you can just get inside this house next to this this unconscious elf here. And then from there you could potentially make an attack. Like if you angled it and got into here, then maybe from there you could just about make an attack on this guy. Probably have half cover from where you are because of the trees. So you could run into the house, make an attack with half cover, or you could dash, use your action to dash and move. You wouldn't be able to make an attack, but then at least you'd keep up with Verin. What do you think, Svanna? Either one, you're following Verin, so which one do you want to do? Nasty shot, dwarf legs, waddle faster! Another option would be that we could bonus action use Zephyr Strike. If we used Zephyr Strike as a bonus action, and then we moved our 25 feet to here, and then we used the bonus that Zephyr Strike gives us to give ourselves advantage on an attack, we make an attack to the ogre, and then that gives us an extra 30 feet of movement that we can move, and we can chase after the ogre after making the attack and get to there. The only downside is we obviously have used our Zephyr Strike, but that's the option. So dash to Verin, you said. Alright. So we use our action to... can't move you on there, my bad. We use our action to... we use our movement to get to there. We use our action to dash up to behind Verin. And then we've got a bonus action left if we wanted to cast Zephyr Strike. But you don't have to. Let's zoom in a little bit. Try and keep things as close as I can do while things are still on. There we go. Zephyr lasts for 10 rounds, yeah. You can only do that bonus, that you can only give yourself advantage on an attack once during those 10 rounds, but you have the other advantage of the moving around the battlefield without an opportunity attacks for the entire thing. Even if you, so it lasts for a minute. If you cast it and use the once per spell ability of it, then you still have the other effect going for the rest of the minute. You still don't get attacks of opportunity for the rest of the minute, which is 10 rounds. Alright, so that was the end of Apis's round then. It is now back to the Ogre's turn. Initiative, Ogre. Ogre, you're dumb as houses. Do you know you're being attacked yet? I think the Ogre's now seen a massive swarm of bees approach in front of him, so there's a good chance the Ogre does know that he's being attacked now, but I'm still going to get him to make an intelligence check. I'm just going to give him advantage on it. That is, with advantage, it was either a dirty 1 or a nat 20, which takes it down to a 17. So a 17, unfortunately for us, 17 is enough for the Ogre to realise that he's now under attack. And so he got a bit of a scratch from something and keeps lumbering forwards, dragging his ill-gotten goods. I'll say that from here you can actually see the Ogre fairly well. So now you notice that this thing is about 12 feet tall, maybe a little less, maybe about 11 feet tall, especially with his hunch. Maybe if he had good posture, he'd be 13 feet tall. But he's got this sort of hunched back thing going on. He's a massive, big, rotund creature. And over one shoulder is slung a massive sack over this shoulder he's holding like a large wooden club. Gigantic great club that he seems to have just picked up out of some fallen tree or something. And in the other hand, just like sort of held down by his waist, kind of half dragging, half clanging along the ground, is just a huge sack seemingly made out of an animal cloth, maybe like an entire bear skin that he's just holding up like a bindle without the stick. He's just holding it up and there's stuff cluttering around inside and there's like muffled noises from inside, so it's obviously whatever they've stolen from the village, and he's just moving along with it. You can see that now. He can hear this buzzing coming after him. He turns around and sees Mel for the first time, and just without really putting too much into it, he just kind of swats at her with this great club. I'm going to see if it hits her. What's her armor class? Same as yours, isn't it? 13. Ooh, that's a 22. That's going to hit. Alright, so she gets smacked pretty hard for 9 bludgeoning damage. She's now looking wounded, but she's not dead. Just so that means, for those who don't know, wounded is something that I choose to do for you guys so that you can tell when somebody's below half their hit points. So Mel gets smacked for quite a significant whack with this great club. She gets knocked to the side a little bit. She goes over this way. And she as she rights herself, one of the wings is having to flap a lot harder because it seems like one of the other wings might be smished a little bit. So it's a good thing she's not level 1 then, isn't it? Alright, that was the Ogre's attack. It doesn't get multi-attack, does it? Let me check. Ogre. It does not get multi-attack. Alright. Is he going to move? He is still stupid enough to... He noticed he's under attack. He smacked her. He's stupid, but he got a nat 20, so he's not stupid enough to walk away from her and get an attack of opportunity again. So that's the Ogre's turn. He's just going to wait there. Now it is the Goblin's turn. The Goblins all now definitely realise that there's something going on. They're under attack. So I'm going to have... I'll say that this guy, he is going to move up to try and take some swipes at the gigantic weird swarm of bees that just suddenly materialised out of nowhere. He's going to attack that. The guy in the swarm of bees is also going to attack the swarm of bees. And then the guy on the guy on the wolf, and the other guy, they're going to make attacks at who can they see? This guy comes back to make more attacks on Mel's militia as well. The guy on the wolf is going to... He can't see the bee anymore because she got whacked to the other side of the ogre. He can see... He can't see anyone, so he's going to ready an action. He's going to take a readied action with his shortbow. All right, so that's 3 attacks. 3 attacks from the goblins against the militia. Let me check the militia's armor. Okay, and then the goblins' attacks. That's 1. That'll miss. 2. That'll hit. 3. That'll also hit. So with that, we get... Come on, roll the damage. So that's 4 slashing and then another 3 slashing. So that's 7 slashing damage. They are resistant to slashing damage because it's hard to slash a swarm of bees into and actually do a decent damage to it. So instead of 7, they take half rounded up. Rounded up in my games because I'm a mathematician. So the bees take 4 points of damage. They're still fine. They're still fine. They're not even looking wounded yet. Not even looking wounded. Alright. That was all of them. This guy is readied an attack, and that is now the goblins done. So now it is back to our allies' turn. Allies, we've got the wounded lady and Verin. Verin's got Hunter's Mark on this ogre. So what he's going to do is he's going to move as close as he needs to open himself up, get rid of all cover for the ogre. Just give himself the best chance of hitting. So that's going to move him over there. And then he draws his bow and makes a shot at the ogre. He actually has the same modifier as we do to our longbow, so I might as well roll it on here. Attack longbow. 7? Are you kidding me? Did I get a nat 1? Oh no, 7. Right, I was looking at the damage. We got 16. 16 hits, 7 damage. 7 damage plus an extra d6. Roll d6. The extra d6 comes from the not hex. What's it called? The Hunter's Mark. So 16 hits and 12 total. 12 total damage. All right, we finally hit this ogre. It does not look wounded, strangely. So Verin runs forward. He gets his bow out, which has green grassy kind of plant life infused into the bow. Very similar and reminiscent of the green plant life that is now infused into the skin of the ogre. He draws back an arrow and looses it. The arrow flies forwards. It flies a good 6 foot underneath Mel and hits the ogre right in the sort of lower back in one of the kidney kind of areas. And as it digs in, the green grass around the wound seems to dig into the wound as well, dealing extra damage because of the Hunter's Mark. The ogre cries out in pain, but it seems to have been more of an inconvenience than a mortal wounding at this stage. That was Verin's turn. He can't do anything with his bonus action yet, so now it is the other ally's turn. She is going to run up here. She can get to the ogre with her movement. Let me double check. Yes, she can, especially as a wood elf, and she's going to take a slash with the longsword. Her longsword ability is slightly more than our short sword there. She's got +1, so I'll just roll short sword attack and add 1 to it. Attack, short sword. Add 1, so hey, dirty 20. I thought that was a nat 20. So 21 definitely hits, and she does more than 3. She's actually doing a d8. Another 7 points of slashing damage to the ogre as she runs up and strikes him pretty hard. The ogre takes that 7 points of damage, strikes him right across the thigh, and he starts to bleed pretty nastily from that wound. Back to the top of the round with Mel. Mel is going to take a strike with a sting attack at the back of the ogre's neck. She is going to, yeah, she's going to make a strike with a sting. Mel has a +5 sting, that's not bad. Oh man, Mel, just hit, man. You do so much damage. She was one off again. She strikes forwards, but it seems like her having just been smashed by basically a small fallen tree, it seems to have thrown you. Who'd have thunk it? She gets whacked off to the side, and then she brings a sting back in and takes a strike, but it's kind of half-assed, and she's a little bit dazed. She takes the round to recover, shake it off. She's not going to move anywhere, but she does then order her militia. Makes a bite attack. Here it comes. 16. All right, so they are going to hit with their bite attack now. And the guy beneath them takes 5 points of piercing damage, which is not quite enough to kill a goblin, but he is heavily wounded. So now that, even though he's got his head covered, he's trying to strike with the scimitar like this, just kill as many as he can. But as he swipes out to open up, a bunch of them swarm under and start stinging him in the face, which makes him freak out and open up even further with the shield. And now he's just swinging and flailing, and he's getting stung a whole heap. He's definitely showing signs of being wounded there. That was Mel. Now that this has started to work again, I can go into the ogre and reduce that 7 that he took from the slashing damage so that I don't forget. Alright, he's still not looking wounded yet. It is now Apis' turn. Clever girl. Clever goblin. Alright, so back to our turn. We are going to, again, put something in the chat. Let's say... let's go ! Elf. One more smack from that ogre. That's true. Mel could go down. Important to know that, in case you're not aware, in D&D you don't immediately die when you hit 0 hit points, with exceptions. But usually you don't immediately die when you hit 0 hit points. You get death saving throws. You go unconscious, you fall prone, and if your allies don't heal you quickly enough, then there's a good chance that you will die. You become dying. Is it a clean shot now? Let's have a little look, shall we? Let's measure it out. A clean shot from Apis. Because of his height, yeah, all that's blocking us is a small amount of leaves and trees and things. That's not enough because of his immense size. That's not enough to give him even half cover, or even a quarter cover if that was a thing. So yeah, I'll say that is a clean shot from where we stand. Especially because we have movement on our turn, so if we wanted to, we could always just move up to 25 feet. We could always just move into this little clearing here or something, and then shoot him from there. It's even closer. Distance from the ogre is 60 feet. We are 60 feet from the ogre. We are 75 feet from the nearest goblin, and 100 feet from the furthest goblin. Not that we can see the furthest goblin because of all the trees and rocks in the way. The only bad guy that we can see clearly right now is the ogre. Ajo! Ajo! Let's take a second or two to type out what you want us to do, Ajo, and we'll do it. Giving you some ideas of radius of where we can move on our turn. 25 feet goes to there. Alright, so Ajo says, hopefully if we hit the bastard, it'll distract him from Mel, who is not a threat, as she hasn't caused damage yet. Throwing a bit of shade there, Ajo. So move closer and shoot him. Awesome. What do you guys think to this aura that I've put around Apis? It's a 25-foot aura, so it tells you how far you can move on your turn. It gives you a visual representation without me having to map it out with this every time to be like, oh, that's 25 feet. It just tells you, hey, that's 25 feet from us. Definitely helpful. Okay, we'll see if I mean, that's literally white on this sheet anyway, so I don't know how I could go paler. It still looks kind of yellowy on this tinge, but maybe that's just because it's over a green map. Alright, so Apis moves the 25 feet to the edge of the radius there, and then you will take a shot at... Oops, let's zoom in. There we go, we'll take a shot at that big bastard. That is a 24 to hit, definitely hits, and it does 10 damage. Not forgetting anything, am I? No. So Hunter's Mark only works for the person who casts it. It only gives extra damage to the person who casts it. So it's 10 damage for us. It would have been an extra d6 for Verin. Nice work, Ajo. All right, so we run forwards. We catch up to Verin. Just as Verin's shot his arrow off, we do the same thing. Draw an arrow out and fire it off one after another. It sails in, pretty much following Verin's in, and hits him in the other kidney. He's still not showing signs of being wounded, but he's definitely taken some hits now. He's taken like a small scratch here and there. He's also taken 2 major arrows into his abdomen and into his torso, and he's taken a pretty hefty slash across the upper thigh. So he's not showing signs of being bloodied, but he's definitely being damaged, and he's not enjoying it. He definitely realizes that he's in some danger. That was our action and our movement. Do you want to use a bonus action to cast Zephyr Strike or not? Hey, Joe. Ogre's name equals big bastard. That's right. Part of the brain. This part of the brain golf claps. Well done. Well done. Well done, aiming part of the brain. Well done, hand-eye coordination. You did a great job there. Oh, thank you very much. Self-appreciation. Can we send out the nope rope to entangle his feet so he falls over? We could try. Let me look up rope of entanglement. I'm pretty sure it says how far it has to be away. I think the creature has to be within like 10 feet of you or something. Let me check. 20 feet. So the other, it has to, the creature you're trying to entangle has to be within 20 feet of you. Because remember, it can move at 10 feet per round. So I mean, we can hand wave. Why is it not 10 feet then? When it's climbing, it only moves at a rate of 10 feet per round. But when it's entangling, it moves at a rate of 20 feet per round. So I might say like, oh, if a creature is further than 20 feet away, it can entangle them. It'll just take an entire extra round to get to them. So to give you an idea, he is 30 feet from us. So from center of us to center of him is about 30 feet. Not yet, but we can use free action to get Mel to disengage and come back to us for heals. All right, yeah. So we shout out as we do that. We shout out in Sylvan, Mel, that's enough. Come back. You're looking. I don't want you dying. We've got this. And we can see if she takes that into account or not. We don't have sway over her yet. She's not our pet. She's if we get to level 3 and decide to take Beastmaster Ranger, which is an option, then I'll allow for Mel to be that beast pet that we get. But otherwise, she's her own person. That was the end of Apis' turn. Aja says don't use Zephyr Strike just yet. So we will... Oops, that's not what I meant to turn off. I meant to turn off Apis in the initiative order. There we go. And the next up is the Ogre. Alright. The Ogre has not been attacked, not been severely damaged by the bee yet. He has been smashed by the elf. He definitely hates elves more than he hates bees, so he's going to take an attack at the elf. So he is going to make a striking attack right now and see if he can take out this elf that's been helping us fight, that we don't even know the name of or anything. Great club attack. Here we go. Oh, that's a 13 to hit, which actually... Ooh, actually... I'm afraid that is enough. That is just enough. 13 is what her armor class is. So she gets smashed for 15 bludgeoning damage, and she is out. Bugger, bugger, bugger. So she goes down hard. Smash. She hits the ground and starts making death saves. That is the Ogre's turn. It's not stupid enough to... It is stupid, but it's already acknowledged that the bee is a threat to it, so it's not going to attack. It's not going to move away from the bee and get an attack. So that is the Ogre's turn done. It is now the Goblin's turn. The Goblins. These 3 Goblins now see this is happening over here. Are they more threatened? Let's see. They've been trying to slash at some bees. They see the elf get smashed, so they turn around. Yeah, I think the bees are still the main priority for them. They're going to try and dismiss this swarm of bees. So that's going to be 3 attacks on that. Hey, Mr. Goblin that readied an attack earlier, you can actually see Verin. So with that readied attack from the round before, he's going to loose his arrow at Verin. Goblin, short bow, 10, not enough to hit. So as Verin ran in and fired off his arrow, another one comes flying past him, and he looks past and sees the goblin off in the distance, riding on the back of a wolf. Just took a shot and missed. But now it is that goblin's turn again. He's going to shoot at Verin. We do have a lucky horseshoe. That's another thing to keep in mind, guys. If you're new here, over on the other side there, you can see a horseshoe. That's our lucky horseshoe, which means that once per day we can re-roll an attack that we make, or an attack that someone makes against us, or anything else like an ability check or a saving throw. Any roll that we make or an attack against us, we can re-roll it once per day. How can the goblins see Verin past the ogre? Not those goblins. The goblin that is just off the camera here. This goblin on Wolfback can see past the ogre to Verin. So he made an attack with a short bow and got 14. 14 is exactly Erin's armor class, so that just hits for 6 points of piercing damage. So Verin gets struck in the shoulder. He fires off one and it fires past him. As he gets another one out to get ready, another one hits him in the pec, just below the shoulder. Verin does not look too bad, but he definitely doesn't want to do that again. Alright, minus 6, there we go. He's still not looking wounded yet. Then the other goblins, all 3 of them take attacks at the scimitar attacks against the the bees that are attacking them. 1 hits, 2 hits, 3 hits. Alright, all 3 hit. That's 7 slashing, another 3 slashing, and another 3 slashing. So 7 slashing, half rounded up, is 4. 3 slashing, half rounded up, is another 2. And 3 slashing, half rounded up, is another 2. So 8 points of slashing damage to the Mel's Militia. And now it's looking halved. It is now less than half of them remain, which means that their attacks are slightly less because of them being a swarm. They're losing a bunch of their members. Should have been harder to hit Verin because of the trees. Yeah, probably should have actually. Verin should have had half cover. Yep, thanks for keeping me honest, Sparrow. Verin should have had half cover, which would have bumped his AC up to a 16 rather than a 14, and so that attack would have missed. So I'll take it back. So as the arrow is coming in to hit Verin, it hits a branch and splinters off and flies over his head or something. Hey Moist Yeti, welcome to the fight. That was all of the goblins. Back to our allies' turn. The goblins weren't even in the initiative order. God damn it, Robert, you're all over the place. Goblins were there, and now it is the allies' turn. Verin and allies. Although other allies down anyway now, so... Verin is going to strike at... He knows there's a goblin on Wolfback over there that's trying to attack him. That goblin on the Wolfback is actually going to continue on because you've got to save your skin, haven't you? Got to save your skin and run away in case you start to lose the fight. So he puts some distance between him and the others, just a little bit. And then Verin's going to go for the ogre. Verin is going to be smart about it and move up here first behind this bush. Could you please? Thank you. Moves up here behind the bush to give himself half cover from any other attacks from ranged, while not impeding himself at all. Thinking smart, Verin, thinking smart. So that is a dirty 20 against the ogre, and 3 plus a d6 from Hunter's Mark. Another 2. Not a very great attack this time, Verin, but hey, every little helps, right? And actually with that, because he was right on the verge of it anyway, he now tips over into looking wounded. So now the ogre is showing signs of being below half his hit points. As that third arrow hits him through right beneath the clavicle, he lets out a yell that makes you realise this guy's starting to realise that his life's in danger. That was all that Verin can do. He's going to maintain Hunter's Mark, and so it is back to the top of the round. Oh, I need to make a death saving throw for our new friend to see if they slip closer to death. It is now back to the top of the round and Mel's turn. Mel. Turn off the allies. Mel, you did shout for Mel to disengage and come back for some heals. Does she want to? Let me think. She is feeling pretty wounded, and now she's the only melee target for this guy. Yes, she does. She doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to die, and she thinks that she can lure this guy back away from his goblin allies into more of an ambushed situation between the two of you, shooting at him, and maybe confuse him about which one's going to go for which. So let me double check Mel's stats, make sure I'm not forgetting anything else cool that she can do yet. Nope, not at this level. Yeah, alright, so Mel is going to disengage as her action. That means that she gets to fly backwards slowly and not incur an opportunity attack. And then she moves 50 feet back. Actually, you said to heal her, right? So she's only going to go back to sort of tree level here. But she's going to... but if she's not a tree, she can't... Alright, yeah, she goes down, she drops down to Apis level, because Apis did specifically say to Mel, come back so that we can heal you. And you can't do that if she's flying too high. So she comes back, she flies into sort of the bush next to you and lands, and you can tell one of her 4 wings is pretty badly broken. And she's taken quite a beating into the side there. I think that's all that she's going to do on her turn, because she's used her action to disengage, her movement to move there. So that's her. It's now to Apis Hive's turn. Apis, you don't have to heal her, because that was the last part of your brain that wanted to do that. It doesn't necessarily carry over to this one. You might choose to keep pressing the attack at this stage, or you could choose to heal your ally. You could also choose to run up here and heal this ally. You could run up here and help the militia, whatever you want to do. You could make a longbow attack against the ogre, or run up and get into melee with it. Whatever you want to do. But one way or another, it is now your turn to decide. So let's say B. Oh, militia! Thank you, militia. I'm glad that you guys keep reminding me about the militia, because I always forget them on Mel's turn. The militia will make another attack at the goblin that they are already over the top of to try and finish him off. Now that they are below half health, they have the same attack modifier, but do less damage if they hit. Ugh, they missed again. The militia! I mean, it's kept the goblins occupied, but they're normally better at killing goblins than this. They can't move anywhere, they can't do anything, so they'll just stay where they are. Now it is Apis's turn. So if you want to be in with a chance to decide what we do on this next round of combat, type !B into the chat, BEE, because it's the B that I always forget, the B's. Did I roll a death save for the girl elf? Yes, I did. I rolled it in secret, because you don't know whether she's slipping closer or further from death. From where you are, this goblin over here would have probably total cover. You can just kind of catch glimpses as they ran through these trees and rocks and things from your perspective. From where you are, this ogre has got no cover. He's too big for that. And from where you are, these guys would probably have at least half cover, maybe even 3/4 cover, but you can see them at least. Verin has half cover from the goblins and things. Sparrow, fly away. Sparrow, what do you want to do on this round of combat, Sparrow? Cure wounds on Mel because she needs it. All right. So we are going to use one of our two spells here. We're going to use our berry here. Look, just boop, disappears. Used it up. And we turn to Mel as she comes and lands in the bush beside us. We lay our hands on her, and then just summoning down the nature magic of the forest around us, which we're very new to, but we kind of got an idea of it in our dream. We felt a little different since waking up from that weird prophetic dream that we had. We think about the nature gods that we're recently learning a little bit more about. And then we get a flash, as we touch Mel, we get a flash in our mind of a beautiful golden-skinned woman. Her skin is sort of rough, kind of like bark. And her hair flows in sort of strange patterns, kind of like branches. And then she seems to be, it just flashes in her mind, and she seems to be standing there with her arms out, T-pose kind of thing. And then we sort of see her drift away from us so that we get a bigger picture of the entirety of her. And we see that she's sort of a human dryad nymph kind of creature. And she is both human and tree at the same time. And from the tops of her arms come more branches sprouting out of her. And from the sides of her hair that we thought was hair, it turns into branches of leaves. And down her body branches vines that grow bright, perfectly spherical berries on them. And she sort of looks down at us and says, "I'm with you." And then the flash disappears, and we feel the power in our hand of Flonanshale, the god of healing. And Flonanshale flows through us and into our bee companion, and we get to roll our cure wounds. Exclamation mark spells cure. See if this works. Hey, look at that! We heal a whole 3 hit points. What an epic description for 3 hit points. Alright, so let's get her back into her thingamabob here. She took a big hefty 9 before, so she's back down. She's back up to this. But at least that takes her to no longer being wounded. Your connection has been interrupted. What happened there? Just a brief hiccup in something there. Alright. Damn it, Nightbot, you stingy bastard. Hey, but she's not wounded anymore. As we touch her, the similar sort of green energies that we saw from the hunter's mark on the ogre, but a more calming nature as it sort of spreads outwards across her body. It gets to the wings, and you can see the wing instantly stitch itself back up and heal, and her buzzing becomes less belabored on one side. So there you go. She's at least less wounded looking. That is our action to cast Cure Wounds. We have a movement and bonus action left. We can't cast Zephyr Strike on the same turn as we cast another spell, because that's just how spells work in 5th edition. But we still have our movement if you want to take it. So Sparrow, where are we going to move, if anywhere? Nightbot doesn't like a lot of us, yeah. Nightbot rolls pretty poorly sometimes, but on other times seems to roll really well for an entire streak of runs. So that's just random numbers for you. What do you think, Sparrow? Do you think we want to move or not? You still here, Sparrow? The rope is an action to use, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure the rope is an action to use. Rope of entanglement. Rope of entanglement. Use an action to speak its command word. Yeah. You can use a bonus action to get it to release a creature, but it's an action to try and make it restrain the creature. Sparrow says, move up into the cover of the big tree north of the ogre. All right. Awesome. So we are here. We've moved up into the cover of the big tree right here. So we heal Mel and then run off, and the ogre just watches us go. So it's not like we've hidden. He knows where we are. It's just that at least from where we are, we have cover from him, at least if he tries to throw something at us. We are fighting an ogre and some goblins, Banana Champion. You are correct. Thank you, Sparrow. It is now, that's the end of Apis' turn. It is now the ogre's turn. So let's have a look what the ogre is going to do on its turn. Let's see, from the ogre's perspective, it just smashed an elf,
new adventurer joins
and then a bee flew away from it, and then a dwarf ran across the other side. Who is it going to go for? It's definitely going to go for one of you. I think the ogre's going to come up for you guys. It's going to leave Mel alone for now, and it's going to come this way, up here. It smashes down in the middle of all of you, both of you rather, and it's going to take an attack. It's just seen Apis move, so it's going to go for Apis. All right. Apis, what am I doing? What am I doing? I need to roll for the ogre. Great club attack. So our armor class, you can see over there, is in the little shield, a 13. We've got a 13 armor class, and the ogre gets a... Nope, that's an... I thought it was a 16. It would have been 16 bludgeoning damage, but it was only an 8 to attack. So it misses, thankfully. So Apis runs across into the lower hanging branches of the bush. The ogre comes round, and the lower hanging branches are kind of obscuring you, so it has to put its head down to see where you are, and then swings its great club through, and some of the branches slow down the momentum of the club, and Apis uses that to dodge to the side, and it misses you, thankfully. That would have been 16 bludgeoning damage. Would have taken you to wounded instantly. Alright, that is all the ogre can do on its turn because it doesn't have multi-attack. So it's going to stay where it is and leave the goblins to do their thing. So goblins are over here. Are these goblins ever going to get these bloody bees dead? Let's find out right now. Let's find out after these commercial words from our sponsor. The first attack is a hit. The second attack is a miss. Actually, I'm going to see if the first attack kills it first. So the first attack is 2 slashing damage. That does not kill it. So the second attack goes in and misses. And then the third attack goes in and hits for 3 damage. Rounded down, halved and rounded up to 2. So a total of 4 damage goes through to these bees. How are you looking, bees? Let's have a look. How are you looking? You are still alive. There are still a number of bees. Most of them have dispersed now. The significant portion of these bees have dispersed. Like 80% of them have gone. But there's still enough of them to be a pain. I suppose maybe I could do with... That's a good idea. I could do with having this as being like a rollable token in Roll20. So maybe a picture that looks like this for when they're full. And then like a PNG with transparent patches in it so that you can kind of see through. That was those 3 goblins. And then the only other goblin is the Wolf Rider down here. Where are you gonna go, Wolf Rider? Are you gonna join the fray? What does he feel like? He thinks he can still get away with this. But now he notices the ogre has gone back into the fray, even though he's been shouting to retreat with the goods that they've already got. Like, run, let's go. And then the ogre turns around and gets lured back into a fight, and he's like, oh, for God. So I think he's going to run into the fray now and start joining in. So what can he do? Let's have a look. Let's map it out. So with 40 feet on Wolfback, he can get to there. And then with the dash action, he can go 80 feet. He can get into... Oh, he can get here and feast on her, but probably not the best move, tactically speaking. 80 feet, he can get right up to you. There you go. So with 80 feet, he's going to dash all the way to get into melee with Apis on Wolfback. That's his turn, though. He can't do anything else because he's used his action to dash. You see, again, you see this. You hear the padded feet of a galloping wolf, and then you see this goblin charging along, holding the reins in one hand and a bow in the other. And then you see the snarled teeth of a very angry wolf that's been forced forwards. It is Mel's turn. Mel is healed up a little bit now. She sees this goblin running in. What can she do to try and help this situation out? She's going to... Come on. She's going to attack the guy on the wolf or the ogre. With her poison, she could potentially take down that guy on the wolf. She notices that he's got a slightly higher armor class, though, than the wolf does. Than the ogre does. Yeah, all right. Yeah, she's gonna go. She's gonna go for the rider. So Mel is gonna go for the rider with a sting attack. That is enough to hit. Thankfully, all right. That is 5 piercing damage, and he needs to make a con save. So she right up to this rider here. And then she stings him for 5 piercing damage, which instantly bloodies him as a goblin. He doesn't have a lot of hit points. He's bloodied already. Where's the bloody token? Thank you very much. And then he makes a DC 11 poison save. Otherwise, he's outright dead, because the poison damage is enough to finish off what he's got left. So Constitution saving throw. He fails it as well. Alright, so he fails it against the venom of her attack, and he goes down dead. You should have run when you had the chance, mate. Actually, Control Z, I'll just keep him on the battlefield, but I'll turn him over. And he's going to fall off the back of the wolf. So Mel comes flying in as she sees this wolf galloping in towards you, the teeth bared, bearing down on Apis, who's just used one of their only 2 spell slots to heal her for the day. She now feels she needs to help you out in return. She comes in, flying right at him, and then as he gets there, he's got a bow in one hand, reins in the other, and he hears the when it's much too late. He brings up his arm to try and block it, but she deliberately stops flying, drops down below his arm, and then stings him right through the chest, right between the 3rd and 4th rib. Big 30 centimeter long, giant potbelly pig-sized bee stinger sticks right through his lung and into his heart, and then injects the venom. Instantly dead. He falls off the back of the goblin, of the wolf. Good work, Mel. Earning your keep. That is Mel's turn. That's her attack and her movement. That's all she can do at this turn. It is now the militia's turn. I didn't forget it this time. I almost did. It's the militia's turn. They're almost dead. Can they finish off this last bloody goblin? Come on, militia. You can do it. I believe in you. Bite, less than half hit points. Natural 1! Oh my god, militia! Ugh! At least they've kept them occupied. That's all you can say for them. Militia I'm not rolling as advantage because they're individual monsters, and so they're not getting advantaged. I'm ignoring the flanking rule against a swarm. Swarms can't be flanked. So that is a natural 1 from the militia. They can't do anything, but at least they're keeping these otherwise healthy goblins out of the fight with us, so that we've got more time to take down this big ogre by the time they get back to us. Now it's Apis's turn. Apis, it's back to you guys again. You guys get the chance to decide what is going to happen now. We've got a wolf right on us, so I'll put !wolf. I'm pretty sure Verin didn't get a turn, so and that would have been after the Ogre engaged with them in melee combat. I don't think he did anything this round. So as a bonus action, he stows his longbow, he draws out his rapier, and he takes a strike at the Ogre. Come on, Verin. Verin has the same. Actually, he doesn't. No, he does. Yeah, he's got the same attack as you for short sword rather. 24. Oh, is that nat 20? Yeah, nat 20 to hit. Oh yeah, boy. So in fact, I'll actually roll the damage as is necessary. So that should be 2d8 plus 2. That is a 9 modified 7 plus 2. Yeah. 9 points of damage from the crit there. That Ogre takes 9 points of damage from a critical slice from Verin's rapier. He stows his longbow as a bonus action. As an action, he draws out his rapier and sticks it into the Ogre's hip as it kind of leant down to see where you were, and then smashed down through the trees with its club. Verin ducks to the side and sticks his rapier blade right through the ball and socket joint of the hip into the socket. It screams out in pain. It seems to have sliced some kind of a tendon or some kind of ligament, maybe. Not pleasant. But then, the reason I remembered that Verin hadn't had a turn is because I haven't rolled a death save for this lady in a while. Okay. So, what are you guys saying? Verin is after us in initiative. Yeah, Verin isn't immediately after us in initiative. No, Verin's the last thing. Verin's this. Verin is... Let me show you where Verin is. Here. Right at the very thing. So he should have been after the wolf. And I'm almost certain he didn't go after the wolf. Oh, and Hunter's Mark damage, thank you, which is also doubled. Roll 2d6 Hunter's Mark damage. Nightbot just hates us. That's 2 1s. 2 1s on 2d6. I mean, it all counts. It all whittles away a little bit at a time. But if Nightbot had, if Verin had maxed out all the dice, then I think it's possible. I don't know exactly, but I think it's possible that this guy would have just gone down. No, maybe not quite, but yeah, it would be pretty damn close to going down if Verin had happened to max out all the dice instead of almost to minimize all the dice. The Ogre gets a little tickle, he gets a little shave, so he sticks it in that hip socket, and then he jiggles it about and pulls his rapier back out again. Nightbot is using Ben's dice, that's right. Then it was Mel flying in and killing the goblin, and now it's Apis' turn. You've all had enough chance to get in to type !wolf if you want to be the next person to decide what we do in this round of combat. And it is Ardana. Ardana. As the Ogre is still leaning over and reacting to the pain of being hit, Apis takes a swing at the Ogre's head with the short sword, as the Ogre is too close for the bow. Well remembered. When we are fighting in close quarters melee combat, you have disadvantage with ranged attacks, so we don't want to use the bow, so instead we will use a bonus action to stow the bow and swap to our short sword, and then we'll use our action to slash. Alright, so what we do now is we roll an attack in the chat right here, attack short sword, and hope to hit. So we rolled a 6 total. You can see that we rolled a 2 on the d20, and we've got a plus 2. Why does it say plus 2 plus 2? Should just be plus 4. I'm not sure. But for whatever reason, we only rolled a 2 on the dice, so unfortunately we only got a 6 total, and so we do not hit the Ogre on this round. Unless we want to re-roll with our lucky horseshoe, which we can use once per day. So over here, you can kind of see, just off to the side here, you can see that there's a horseshoe. Once per day, we can re-roll one of our attacks, our saving throws, or our ability checks. So do we want to horseshoe or not? In the chat, give me an idea. Do we want to horseshoe? Do we really want to hit this guy, or do we not? 3-on-1 advantage doesn't count in this situation, General Gino, because of the wolf. It's currently 3-on-2, so there's no flanking advantage just yet. If the wolf wasn't hostile to us, which it is, if the wolf wasn't hostile to us, then we would have advantage right now. Oh, actually, we still wouldn't, because the ogre is considered a large creature, and so you need 4-on-1.
I see you following me.
A few people saying horseshoe yes, horseshoe yes, horseshoe yes, because we really want to hit. Marie says actually maybe not. We hit him with the horseshoe. Remove the threat of the ogre first and worry about the wolf later. I think save horseshoe. We still have Verin. I don't think horseshoe. All right. People are on the fence about it, so I'm gonna put it to a poll, because there's some saying yes, some saying no, enough to not get a consensus. So anyone who's watching can join in. You don't need to join in if you don't feel like you are informed enough to make a decision, but I'll try and give you everything you need to know. The horseshoe can only be used once per day. It recharges every dawn, so you might want to save it for a situation where you are unconscious and making death saving throws, and then you fail a death save, and you're like, no, horseshoe that, horseshoe that. So there are circumstances that are much more vital than this. But then again, if you use the horseshoe now and hit with your short sword, you'll do damage to the ogre and potentially take him out. So up to you. You've got 30 seconds left to decide: do we use the horseshoe or not? Bonus action to Zephyr and get the fuck out. We can bonus action Zephyr if we want. I did say that we bonus actions swapped our longbow out, but if you want to just drop the longbow instead, then you've still got your bonus action to Zephyr. That's up to the person who is in charge, which is Ardana. What's our HP at? We're at full hit points. We've got 26. So the 80% of votes came in as do not use the horseshoe yet, save it for a more vital moment, which is fine. Okay, so in that case, the short sword. So what are we doing with our bow, Ardana? Are we going to use Zephyr Strike, in which case we need our bonus action, in which case we're going to have to just drop the bow where we are? Or are we going to switch? Are we going to switch the bow, in which case we don't have a bonus action for Zephyr Strike? It's up to you. It's still your turn at this stage, Ardana. No point in using Zephyr Strike if we don't have a bow, says General Gino. Could be a point. If we drop the bow, then we can't shoot from range. Yep, correct. We're at full hit points currently as well, 26 hit points. Our friend Verin, as far as we know, is also on full hit points, I believe, because we retconned the attack that should have missed him because of the cover. We don't know what his hit points are, but being that they're not a hill dwarf, it's probably not quite as high as ours. So our B friend is not at full hit points, but is not wounded yet. So he's somewhere between half and full. Since we seem to be able to take a hit, Apis just stays put after missing the strike. All right. So bonus action. Since we're not using bonus action for anything else, we might as well bonus action to put the longbow on. Draws out the short sword and strikes across at the ogre's lower limbs. Unfortunately, you strike across just as the ogre is coming up on the backswing with the greatsword, and it cuts off a chunk of the your short sword. Kind of gets caught on a bit of outcropping wood from the basically small fallen tree that it's using to smash you with. So you parry it to the side, but you don't manage to get any damage on the ogre this round. And then you stay where you are, because if you move anywhere, you get an attack of opportunity. So it makes sense. All right. That is the end of Apis's round. So it is now the ogre's turn. Ogre. So the ogre tried to smash you, missed. You tried to hit it, missed. The wolf came running in. The bee came flying in and attacked the goblin on the wolf. I don't think it's not attacking the wolf yet. It doesn't feel threatened by the bee that's behind it. Verin's not a threat, so yeah, it's definitely going to go for you, I'm afraid. The ogre is going to make another great club down at Apis, who is standing in the lower branches of these, standing beneath the lower branches of these trees. Let's see if it hits. Great club weapon attack. That is a 22 to hit. So if you can see over there in the little shield symbol just up here in this corner here, you can see 13 is our armor class. So 22 definitely hits. So it smashes us for 14 bludgeoning damage, taking us to wounded. That's wounded. I just need to bring us down so that I can actually access the thing, because Roll20 is crap sometimes. And put it back. Alright, so we have got 12 of 26 hit points. So with that single strike, we kind of got our sword caught a little bit on the club as it gets pulled up, which exposed us, and we didn't manage to dodge out of the way enough. It slams down, boom, it hits us in the chest and knocks us back 5 feet, slam down onto our butt and quickly stamp it back up to our feet. The branches were in the way a little bit, but even if we'd have had 3/4 cover, it still would have hit us, because it got 9 over our armor class, so it definitely hit us. So the wind's been knocked out of us, and you're pretty damn sure that a couple of ribs have cracked, and your entire right arm has gone numb, like instantly, dead arm. But you're still standing, still fighting. But Mel can see that you've taken a big bludgeon. Some of the branches on this small tree that it's wielding have like scratched across your face and started drawing blood as well. So you're definitely showing signs of being bloodied. 'Tis but a scratch. It's a flesh wound. A flesh wound? Your arm's off. No, it's not. That is the ogre's turn. It's not going to move anywhere. It's only got 1 attack, thankfully. So the ogre's going to stay where it is, and the goblins are going to get a turn. So this goblin's not, because he's dead. But these goblins are. These goblins are going to try and finally finish off this bloody swarm of bees that has been haranguing them and harassing them and keeping them out of this fight. So Mel's Militia is an armor class of that, and they have an attack of this. So the first one is going to be a hit. Let's see if they kill him. 5 halved rounded up is 3 slashing damage. They've got 4 hit points, so they're on 1 hit point still after the first attack. The second one is if this misses, then it's taken out all 3 of them for another round. And now, unfortunately, this one hits. All right. So with 2 attacks, Mel's Militia is finally dispersed, and the last goblin, this one on the far right, is about to take an attack, realizes that there's no real point anymore, and so he's going to use his movement. In fact, they're all going to use their movement to move towards the battlefield. This one's going to run up here and stick the scimitar down into the now dead elf, giving it 2 immediate death saves. Actually, he still has to roll, doesn't he? He still has to roll to hit her natural armor class. Just on the off chance that he gets a natural 1 or something and trips on his ass. Because she's prone and unconscious, he gets advantage, so that's going to hit, and if it's a hit, it's an automatic crit, and crits mean 2 failed death saves. She'd already had 1 fail and 1 success, so that's 3 failed death saves for her. Unfortunately, she is no more. So that one runs up and finishes her off. This one is going to use its movement. How far is that? 30 feet, so he can get to there. He can't quite get melee with that giant bee yet. In fact, thematically, that one's not going to take any movement this turn, because he's the one who's just had like bees swarming in his face and stinging his eyes and shit. So even though he can move theoretically, thematically it makes no sense for him to do so. So this one instead is going to run past his friend and get to there. He's got a scimitar out, so he can't take any attacks right now. So he's going to use a bonus action to dash, and he's going to get right up against Mel. Okay, it's all on now. Look at this. Look at this dangerous situation we've got going on up here. Now I can zoom right in, because that's pretty much everything that's happening on the battlefield. Danger, danger, danger. Alright. Rest in peace, random dead elf that I never knew. That's right. Alright. That was the goblin's turn. That's all the goblins that are left alive. It is back to our ally's turn. Verin. Verin is the only ally that's left on the field. So he's going to take a turn. He's got his rapier out already. He's determined to try and finish this ogre that's looking wounded, and if he can take down the ogre, then the goblins should be not as much of an issue. I've just remembered the wolf needs to take a turn now that the wolf is a specific creature of its own. On the wolf's turn, it is going to take an attack at Apis. Sorry about this, Apis. The wolf is going to attack you with pack tactics because one of its allies is within melee of you. So it's got advantage on the bite attack. That is a natural 20 or a 14. So this is going to hurt. That's a natural 20, and one of the things you can do with a horseshoe is force somebody else to reroll if it's an attack on you specifically. So if it's an attack against you, the whole idea of the lucky horseshoe is that it's lucky. And a lucky moment is that this wolf is about to hit you pretty critically. You could potentially horseshoe this to make him reroll this crit on you. Horseshoe, 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 just horseshoe, horseshoe it, horseshoe. Is anybody opposed to horseshoeing right now? If we used horseshoe, would he get another 2 rolls? So what happens if you're lucky is that you basically take the middle of the 3 numbers. All right, horseshoe, 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 bless you. Nice one, Savannah. All right, I will horseshoe this. So that means we turn off the horseshoe. Where are you? Where are you, horseshoe? There you are. Shloop. That's used. But it will force me to re-roll the bite attack. Let me think about this. Does it make sense to... I just pretend like that one... I think horseshoe basically means I pretend like that didn't happen and I just re-roll it again entirely. Alright. So with a horseshoe, that is a dirty 20 to hit rather than the natural 20. So at least it is less damage. So it is only 8 points of damage, and also you must use you must now succeed on a strength saving throw. Hit points, hit points, hit points. So on here we have taken 8 points of damage. So we are now down to 4 hit points. We're still alive, still conscious, but now we are showing serious signs of being wounded. And here comes the strength saving throw. Exclamation mark saving. Strength. And hope for a high number. 16. All right, we are not pulled prone to the ground. As this wolf, who is saddled and reined, as his rider falls off the back of him, he launches himself forwards, and just in the luck of the moment, you feel like a radiant light sort of shimmer over you. There's another flash of another goddess. You don't see enough to make out the details of this one, but you do see signs of four-leaf clovers and such, and you get a sense that the goddess of luck is on your side. As the wolf, instead of sinking its teeth deep into your throat, instead just latches onto your shoulder and collarbone. Still hurts a lot, but it doesn't tear your throat out. And as it pulls to the ground, you manage to stay on your feet as a nice stout dwarf. You don't get pulled to the ground. And then as the weight of the wolf tips down over its own neck, it has to let go. So you're not grappled by the wolf, but you took the damage at least. Then it's Verin. Verin is going to take a striking attack. Does Verin need to cure you? Verin needs to cure wounds you. No, he doesn't. It's a waste to cure you unless you go down and then he can heal you. It's better to try and get rid of the thing that's trying to kill you in the first place. Verin is going to make an attack at the ogre. That's what he's going to do in the moment. Makes sense. He's just stuck his rapier right deep into the ball and socket joint of the ogre's leg. Done a lot of damage. The ogre is looking on its last legs. It could go down in a single hit if he's lucky. So it's going to do it. It still says 26 on there, doesn't it? Yes. I'm not sure. Do I want to be changing that every time? I'm going to leave the one that's up in the corner there. I'm going to leave that as like your maximum hit points. Those are your maximum. He's going to make an attack. Definitely makes sense for him to do that in the moment. He attacks with slightly more than your short sword, so I'm just going to roll a short sword attack and then add 1 to the attack. An 11 plus 1, 12. So 12 attack, and then he does a d8 plus his hunter's mark. So roll 1d8 plus 2, and then plus a d6, 1d6. 8 and another 5. Here we go then. I think this is it. How much you got left, Ogre boy? You big bastard. Haha. Alright. So, Verin, no, again, Verin doesn't get flanking because the wolf is in the fray. And also the ogre's large. Eight plus 5, that's 13. The ogre had exactly 13 left. So with that, let's see, how does he do it? He's just smashed you down. You fall down onto your back. You get back up again and latched by a wolf immediately. Verin sees you in a lot of trouble, and he also sees that the ogre is concentrating on you. So he's gonna aim at just like big meaty part of the body, just trying to like keep slashing and swishing and poking and prodding until this thing goes down. But he suddenly realizes there's an easier way. And at the last moment, he drops his hand low instead, and he strikes across the back of the Achilles tendon with this ogre, and strikes through, and it cuts through it like butter. It opens up, and this ogre, who's already just off balance from having been swinging his giant club through trees, he falls down to one knee instantly, bringing his 12-foot tall head, his 12-foot high head, down to a more manageable level. And with the momentum of the ogre falling, Verin brings his rapier up and thrusts it. It goes through the nostril of the ogre as he falls and out the back of the skull, shattering the tip of his rapier, but also shattering the back of his skull. He brings his rapier back out again, and the ogre falls dead, never knowing a day more. Very cool, very cool. All right, this has turned the tails. We may be able to make this work. As a bonus action, Verin then changes his hunter's mark and sends it over to the goblin over here, because you can do that. It's a pretty cool spell. So as he falls, and the grassy sort of mossy nature around him because of the hunter's mark just forces his nostril open wider to get the rapier up in there, do the extra damage. The grass seems to sort of wilt away and fall out of the ogre's skin and onto the ground and just kind of hovers there. And then Verin lifts his hand and sends it over, and these blades of grass fire off and wrap themselves around this goblin over here who's just run into the melee with Mel. No pun intended. And now that goblin is wrapped in hunter's mark instead. That was Verin's attack. He's got movement. He is going to use his movement to get up to the... he is going to get up to this... Oops, there we go. He's going to clamber up and on top of this sort of... this big obese ogre and stand up on its sort of upper thigh as it's crunched back over itself, and use that to get down between the wolf and you, or at least try to. I think that's all that Verin can do. So back to the top of the round. That is Mel. Mel, where are you? Mel, there you are. Allies gone. Have a think about what you might want to do, guys, because you're coming up real close soon after Mel. She's got the wolf in front of her. She's got a goblin who's just run in from there. She can't summon a militia anymore, so all she's got left is Sting. Does she go for wolf or does she go for goblin? She knows from experience that you have in the past tamed wolves that were actively hostile towards you with high enough animal handling checks. So she, I think, and especially now that she sees the ogre go down and Verin jumps up on top of it, she feels a little more confident keeping the wolf to her back than the goblin to her back. So she turns and tries to sting the goblin. She is going to strike this goblin, or at least try to, with her stinger. Big old potbelly pig sized bee trying to sting you with a 30 centimeter long sting. It's probably not an enjoyable sight. Sting. That is not enough to hit, unfortunately, unless she has advantage. No, she doesn't. She doesn't have advantage for any reason because she's not flanking or anything. So unfortunately, that would be enough to hit if it wasn't using a shield. So she brings the stinger in, and it brings its wooden shield up, and it sticks through an inch or two until she uses her back legs to kick herself back out of the shield. I think, yeah, that's all that Mel's going to do. It is now Apis' turn. So, for people who just joined from Alan's raid, you've had a whole round to see the sort of thing that's happening. You've got the context of the raid now. So I hope that some of you feel confident enough in getting involved. Don't feel off-put by it. It can be a little bit intimidating, but I'm here to guide you through it. That's the job of the Dungeon Master, all right? So if you want to be in with a chance to decide what Apis is going to do on this next round of combat, we shall put in... Have I used Ogre yet? I think I've used Ogre today. What have I not used? Exclamation mark. Sting. Let's go. So we are looking very hurt, and one of the things we have over there, you can see, is one of our spell slots is left. You can see that we've got one last berry, one last spell slot, and we can use that to cast Cure Wounds or Zephyr Strike. So we could Cure Wounds ourselves as our action. Our bee ally is also relatively hurt. She's not wounded, but she's got some damage to her. So we could Cure Wounds her. We could use our action to try and persuade this wolf to calm down, because we're pretty good with animals. We could use our action to attack the wolf and try and just kill it outright. We could use our action to disengage from the wolf and run away, or run round the corner to attack the goblins instead of the wolves. We could use our action to teabag the ogre. Like, what? It's whatever you want to do. Just when you're making the decision for Apis, try and keep in mind the things about Apis' character. Yeah, I said Cure Wounds is so you could get to Mel and cure her. You just might have to take an attack of opportunity on a wolf, or if you just stepped around in melee with the wolf. Like if you stepped on top of this, points into the wrong screen again. If you stepped around this way, stepped on top of this dead body, you'd never leave the wolf's melee range, so you wouldn't get an attack of opportunity. But you'd also enter Mel's melee range, and you'd be able to cure her. So there are ways around it. If you are chosen, try and keep in mind that stuff about Apis. They are resourceful, cunning, introverted. They avoid trouble where they can. They'll help those in need. They only kill if it's necessary to do so. They will always protect an animal in danger. And right before this, in the last few days, Apis has encountered a few other hostile wolves that are under the control of the goblins. And they've discovered that the wolves are being mistreated by the goblins and sort of forced into servitude. And so they have been successful in trying to turn the wolves against the goblins a couple of times. Not saying that would work here, or even that we should try it, but it's an option to keep in mind. We might be a bit too hurt to try and befriending right now. Nightbot isn't a fan of befriending wolves, not in the past, no. We can certainly try it. Bonus action to use the Zephyr Strike. It's very small, but you might just be able to see that after Cure Wounds there's an A in brackets for action, and Zephyr Strike has a bonus in action. Ares 158. So Ares 158, if you are in the chat still, can you just make a comment or something, put an emote or something, just so that we know that you're still here? Awesome, you're here. Shite. Don't worry about it, you can take your time, think about it, ask any questions that you need for clarification. That's what we're here for. But you get to decide what we're going to do. You can do three things. You've got a movement, you've got an action, and you've got a bonus action. The only two things you can do with your bonus action is change your weapon or cast Zephyr Strike, which is over there, you can see, next to the spells. So if you don't do either one of those, then don't worry about the bonus action. You've just got movement and action. Nice and simple, straightforward. For movement, you can move anywhere that you can see on the screen right now. Because if I zoom out, you can see that I've added an aura that shows you the radius that you can get to on your movement. So anywhere in that radius you can get to on your movement. But if you choose to leave the wolf's melee range without disengaging, it will get an attack of opportunity. It'll get a free attack on you. Zephyr, however, is a bonus action that allows you to disengage without using your action. You can just move away, and you're moving so quickly because of you casting the spell. So Zephyr allows us to run away and then shoot either the wolves or the goblins. That is correct, Ares, yeah. So if you want to use your bonus action to cast Zephyr Strike, keep in mind that it will be using your last spell slot of the day, so then you won't be able to cast Cure Wounds on anyone if they were to go down. So your B, you see that they don't have a little red dot next to them. I put the red dot on when you drop below half your hit points. So you know that your B is somewhere between half and full. The wolf, as far as you know, has taken no damage yet. But you don't see any damage on the wolf so far. We'll put it that way. Yeah. So if you try to run away, if you try and run away from the wolf, it can just catch up to you because it has got a lot of speed. Just FYI. So you could use Zephyr as a bonus and then dash as your action and get 50 feet away, and then the wolf can't catch up to you without a dash. But that's all things to keep into account. Mel will also, if you leave Mel behind, she'll have to deal with the goblin on her own. Verin has healing. Mel can fly, but she's engaged with 2 hostile enemies at the moment. We can use our Zephyr ability to move 55 feet on this turn. That's true. We could do. This part of the brain is suggesting cutting into the ogre and popping out of the ogre on the other side so as to not get an attack of opportunity. Just cut your way into the ogre and burst him from the inside out. The wolf wouldn't give chase, surely. He has 2 other targets. Yep, potentially. Unless it's going for you particularly for whatever reason. There might be a way to defuse the battle now that the ogre's down. The goblins might not be in the mood to fight. That's right, maybe. But do we want to take that risk? Apis' standard waddle speed is 25 feet. Could we disengage and go around the dead giant to get to the goblin with the Zephyr Strike? Yeah, we absolutely could. Alright, so Ares says, let's say I want to try and tame the wolf. Can I use the heal as a bonus? So the Cure Wounds is an action to cast, and trying to tame the wolf would definitely be an action as well. So you wouldn't be able to both try and tame the wolf and heal on the same turn, I'm afraid. Could we climb inside the wolf and explode it from the inside? Yeah, we could definitely try. We're not an elf though, we're a dwarf. That's very much an elf thing. We could ask Verin if he wants to do that. But then again, he's a wood elf, not a high elf. I'm not sure if the cultures are quite the same. How scared does the goblin look? I mean, everything in a single round of combat kind of happens at the same time. So, as the goblin, like this is happening as the ogre is falling and Verin is like standing, like climbing up onto him to get to the other side. And so it's a little hard to judge like if he's fully recognised that the ogre's gone down or not yet. I'll say make we can make a free action insight check just to see if we can read how scared they're looking. Skill insight. Let's have a look. A 12. So with a 12, there's just so much going on for us. We've literally just been bashed real hard by an ogre great club. Almost instantly getting gnawed at by an angry wolf and almost dragged to the ground. And then the ogre goes down, and it's all happening so quickly that we've barely even registered that there is a goblin there, I'll say, unfortunately. So with the 12, we're not sure how scared they're looking or whether they're scared at all. We have used feints before to scare off the goblins. Yep, we have. We speak Sylvan, and wolves can understand Sylvan a little better than they can Common. We have rations. We could offer food if we wanted, yeah. Last time we tried to tame wolves, every time we tried to tame wolves, we nearly died. Ben has infected the high elf culture, that's right. 90 says, cut a piece of meat from the ogre and give it to the wolf. We could do. Keep in mind that every round of combat is only 6 seconds, so it would have to be like a slice. Here, have this. Not like I'm going to fillet a nice little piece and cook it up or anything. If Apis can get out of this without killing everything, they would try. I think so, yes. But really, we'll see. Use Zephyr to disengage and shoot the goblin with the bow. Done. All right. That is what we're going to do. Would we be in trouble since the arms are basically wet noodles right now? Nah, it's wearing off now. It was an instant blow, but it's not an ongoing thing. Ares has made his decision. Yes. All right. So we first use Zephyr Strike. So what that looks like is I need to work out where I'm looking for my things. I've got so many screens and things open, and so here we go. Zephyr Strike. The Spellberry pops away. We're all out of spell slots for the day. Apis realizes, I need to get out of here. I don't want to harm the wolf because I know that they're being abused by the goblins, and if we can just take out the goblins, then the wolf will just disperse on his own. It's happened before. It'll happen again. I'm sure he's just doing what he's been trained to do. Once he realizes his master's dead, he'll be less hostile to us. All of this goes through Apis's mind and goes, okay, I need to get out of here. And as they think this, the nature gods, the same sort of voice that heard us before, that we heard rather before, like a day or two ago, that said, I'm with you. You hear that again, and everything seems to slow down just a little bit. The leaves that are falling from the tree that the ogre's just smashed his club through right before falling, the last of the leaves are kind of falling down, and it just seems to slow down a little bit. And then you can hear the wind beneath that leaf. Seems to almost pick up, and not in your ears, but in your body. And you realise you can just move like the leaf that just kind of flitters in a hurricane. You can move like a leaf, and you move in such a way that as you move away from the wolf, it doesn't know where to grab you. And before the wolf knows it, you're already gone. So you step out of the wolf's melee range without incurring an attack of opportunity. Where exactly do we want to go, Ares? You've got an option of anywhere in the yellow range, effectively. If you wanted to, for instance, go over here, you could go over here and shoot that goblin from over there. But if you wanted to, for instance, go over here, you could move around this tree and get to over here by this rock or something. Alternatively, if you wanted to just run straight past the wolf, you could sort of push your way back out of the tree here and get all the way over to this wolf, this goblin. Apis is made of hardy stuff. Keep going on 1 hit point. That's right. Got it. The adrenaline's in the system. It's do or die at this stage. The spot to the left of the ogre sounds good. All right, so we are going to run around this big old dead ogre, and we're going to use our 25 feet of movement to get to there. And then we are going to, at that point, realize that we've got a sword out, and we can't afford the time to switch it out because we've already used our bonus action this round. So we're going to drop our sword. We're going to get the longbow off our shoulder and string it up and take a shot at this goblin here. So let's do it. We don't have advantage, unfortunately, because there's only 2-on-1 at this stage. If Verin manages to get there, then it'll be 3-on-1, and at that point we get advantage. Because that's how I use flanking. Let's just check. Do we not get the bonus movement from Zephyr? Only if we choose to use it. That's just a once per spell thing. So I guess that's a question for you, Ares. Once during the duration of this spell. Thank you for the follow, Briar Rose. I see you. During the duration of this duration of this spell, we can choose to give ourselves advantage on the roll, and then also take 30 feet extra movement on this turn. Do we want to do this on this turn, or do we want to do it on another? Do we want to save it in case we need to hit somebody else? What about the forest bonus? That doesn't account here, Sparrow. That's just for ability checks. What do you think, Ares? Are we going to give ourselves advantage on this roll and an extra 30 feet of movement for this round? Or do we want to just save that one for a future round? Killed it. Yeah, we killed an ogre. Look, he's dead. He's on his back. He got a rapier right up the nose and into his brain. If I don't get an answer, I'll just assume we're not going to use it. Oh, there it is. I think we should use the advantage, because if we scare the goblins off with the ogre dead and extra damage, then this might be over the next round. Very clever. Very clever indeed. That was my thinking too. So we give ourselves we as we get to that spot, we give ourselves the advantage. The bullet time slowdown motion happens even faster. It seems that we move even faster rather, and the bullet time slows down even further. We see a single leaf that's kind of followed us because of the wind that we created in our wake, and we see it just drift in front of the goblin, and we just follow it down, and then take the second. And we let go. And with advantage, we take a strike at that goblin. Attack longbow. So that is a 21 to hit, which is going to hit, but I'll roll it again in case it's a natural 20. So always take your advantage, even if you're going to hit with the first one, because you might get even better. So this with the second one is a 14. No. So the first one will hit though. So with advantage we hit and do the damage of 2 plus 2. It's 4 damage, but because of Zephyr Strike we do an extra d8 force damage as well. So that's 4 plus roll 1d8 force damage. Come on, be something good. That said 8. There we go. So we do 12 damage to this guy. So as we let go on the out breath, it pierces through the leaf that was floating in the air, and we see it move along, moving slower than it should be from our perspective. But then it starts to speed up again, and it strikes right through as the goblin is lifting up its scimitar to try and strike right down through, cut our friend the bee right down in half, right through one of her stripes. He's going to strike it down, but then it goes in through one temple, behind both eyes. It messes up both of his eyes as the optic nerves are cut, out the other side of the temple, and he gets taken down to the ground before he can drop the sword. And that goblin is dead in a single shot. Got to try and keep a track. Maybe I should go back and rewatch this to remind myself how many arrows we've used. I don't usually track them in my home games, but I think this is a nice game for keeping track of those sorts of things, at least for the first few levels. So that guy's dead. Hunter's Mark is still on him, so Varen can choose to move that as a bonus action on his turn. We've now got 30 feet extra movement because of Zephyr Strike. So where do we want to move, Ares? Do we want to run at the other goblin with our 30 feet movement? So with 30 feet, we can get all the way up to this other goblin. So do we want to just charge at him, just as an extra intimidation factor? Like, we've just killed your ogre, we just killed that guy in a single shot, I'm coming for you now. And like just trying to scare them away? Or do you want to do something else? Do you want to move away or anything? I reckon we'll track arrows until it just feels like it's getting too cumbersome. So like until we get to like level 4 or something, we might be able to keep track of it. At that point, I can just assume that we've got enough access to income and stuff that we can just find arrows when we need it. In fact, to be honest, each of these goblins would be carrying goblin arrows, so I won't bother tracking arrows for this fight, because I'll just say that you replenish back up to 25 each time. You don't want to have many more than that. I'll just say that at the end of this fight, if we survive it, at the end of this fight, then we'll just take enough arrows from the goblins. What do you think, Ares? We've got 30 feet of movement, which is just more than this light. We can get right up to this goblin and charge him down. We can get into just a better position. We can hunker down with these guys. We can actually get all the way back to the wolf if we wanted to give ourselves advantage 3-on-1 with the wolf. Apis doesn't want the wolf dead now, but it might intimidate. It might help with advantage against intimidating on the wolf. Like if the wolf is getting surrounded, then maybe it's more likely to not attack. Actually, that's not how wolves work. Apis would know that if you corner the wolf, it's more likely to get aggressive rather than the other way around. So Apis could run up to this corner here and like poke themselves in here, and then the wolf has got the option to back out and run away. I don't know. Up to you. Can we shout at the wolf in Sylvan that we mean it no harm? You could do. That would be a free action. It wouldn't hold a lot of sway if, as just doing it as a free action, but you could shout it. Might help a little. Just shout at the goblins to fuck off. Get out of here, you bastards! We don't want your kind round here. Place yourself on top of the ogre but out of engagement range and make it clear that the ogre is very dead at your party's hand. Nice. Good idea. Alright, so with the last extra burst of speed from whatever it is that's granting you this speed, you manage to just launch yourself up this ogre's up over the 1 foot on the shoulder, 1 foot right down, smushing onto the face, until eventually you're standing on the sternum of this ogre that's kind of crumpled down over its own body. And you draw out an arrow, and looking across at these two goblins that are left on the field, kind of like just seeing all this happen, you just thunk right down into the ogre's head, like point blank range, and just stare at them. And it is very clear to them that the ogre is dead. That ends the end of your turn, Apis, and the turn that you have used Zephyr Strike. Oops, wrong one again. I did it again, and that turned on Inspiration and Horseshoe again. Whoops, my bad. My fault. My bad. Whoops, sorry. Initiative is what I meant to turn off. Apis, there we go. And after the Apis is the ogre is dead. So after the ogre is the goblins. The goblins are, without a doubt, going to run for their lives, because they are goblins. They were going to run before you even killed this guy. They were definitely going to get the hell out of there. Get the hell out of Dodge, yo. So they are going to dash with their action. Let me have a little look at Goblin, because I think they've got a thing they can do. Nimble Escape. They can take the disengage or hide action as a bonus action. So they are going to run away. Run away! How far can they get? In 60 feet. So through the trees and things, this one can get to the edge of the board, this one can get past the edge of the board and beyond. So I think that one might get away. They're going to get past the edge of the board here, this one's going to get past to the edge of the board there. And then they're both going to take the hide action on their turn to try and hide amongst the trees so that you can't even shoot at them as they run away. So let's just check that out. I'm just going to roll stealth checks to see if they do well. Actually, the first one, the wounded one, he's leaving a big trail of blood and stumbling as he runs, so his stealth check was only an 11, which doesn't beat our passive perception, so we know where that wounded one is. The other guy, however, just disappears into the trees and we're not going to see him anymore, because we couldn't catch up to him by the time that he is long gone, because he's going to run 60 feet every round and hide every round as well. But this guy I'll leave on the board to say that in case we wanted to run after him, we definitely could. So this is what's left behind. That was the goblins' turns. It's our ally's turn. The ally, let me just look up Hunter's Mark. I think there's got a range of it. I'm going to see if the other guy's in range. So that he can shift his Hunter's Mark to that other guy and hunt him through the forest and finish him off. Because Verin definitely wants to finish them off. He doesn't want them to leave. Hunter's Mark. Come on. Hunter's Mark. There it is. 90 feet. If a target blah blah blah, subsequent mark a new creature. Yeah, he's gonna do it. So Verin is going to use his movement. As a wood elf, he's got 35 feet of movement. Oh, mind you, he's engaged with the wolf, so what's he gonna do? Does he shift it before he... Let me check something real quick. He is actually within 90 feet and Verin can see him, so he doesn't even have to move first. He just flicks his hand, and the sort of grassy, mossy kind of appearance that's on the goblin that's just had his head exploded, the green nature to it disappears. it zooms off of him, snakes its way through the branches of the trees and attaches itself to the wounded goblin over here. And then he's got his action and his movement. His action is going to be... He doesn't want to kill the wolf. His action is to be to... I think he's going to grapple the wolf, because he can't calm it down without giving it some time to breathe and realise what's going on for it. That's a strength check for the... Oh, it's going to be a dex check for the wolf and a strength check for him. His strength is not great, but the wolf didn't roll too well. The wolf first. The wolf... Yeah, sorry, yes, the wolf should be before Verin. So the wolf is... Thank you for reminding me. The wolf is... Let me put myself in wolf position. What's he going to do? He attacked you. The ogre goes down. So much happened around him. There's definitely a lot of stimulus for him. He's going to be riled up. He's definitely not going to calm down this turn. The bee's behind him. Verin's in front. It makes sense he's going to go for Verin. So the wolf is first going to attack Verin. Bite! That is a 22 to hit and 9 piercing damage. And then Verin failed his strength save and gets pulled prone. He still gets to do what I just did, but it'll change his attack at least. Where are you? I'm hitting the wrong screen here. Verin takes damage for the first time, 9 damage. Let's actually make him a Constitution saving throw to see if he even maintains the Hunter's Mark in the first place. Because anytime you take damage while you're concentrating on a spell, you make a Constitution saving throw to see if you maintain concentration or not. He got a 2, so no, he actually failed to concentrate on the spell after he got dragged to the ground by the wolf. Thanks for keeping me honest. Forgot about the wolf. So that goblin is going to get away because Verin is now prone. He gets pulled off of the ogre, poof, hits the ground. The wolf it lets go, so it's not grappling him, but he's engaged with him on the ground. Then it's Verin's turn. He's going to use his action to reach up and try and grapple a hold of the wolf. I'll use the grapple check that I made before for him, and then I need to make a strength check for the wolf. Bear with me, sorry guys. Not enough. God damn it. He reaches up and he grabs the muzzle of the wolf, grabs the, not the muzzle, the neck of the wolf, and the wolf's, and it's not grappled yet, but it's going to try. And then Verin is going to stand up with his movement. He's going to get himself back to his feet. He's going to pull himself around here, and he's going to try his best. Then it's back to the top of the round. Mel has got 50 feet of movement, so she could actually follow those goblins down and finish them off. But at the same time, is it worth it? She definitely wants to kill them. Mel, does she want to kill this wolf? She's not bothered about the wolf. She wants to kill the goblins. Does she think she can get away from them? She can catch up to them even if she disengages for this round. So that's what she's going to do. So Mel is going to disengage this round, fly away from the wolf carefully so that it doesn't get an attack of opportunity, and then move 50 feet directly, like upwards and outwards, to get above the treetops so that she can move in a more direct line and see where they're moving through the forest, particularly tracking the bloody one. And then from this round onwards, she can move 100 feet every round and eventually catch up to them and finish them off. So that's what Mel's going to be doing. And then it's Apis' turn. Apis, what are we going to do? This is the last round of the combat, probably, and probably the last round of the last decision to make of the game today, the session. So ! wolf if you want to make the last decision of the game. Yeah, we could speak in Sylvan, which would help, because although they don't speak the language, they understand Sylvan a lot more than they understand Common. That's one of the things that I decided in my world, is that Sylvan is sort of more of an animal language. It just has a natural, because it comes from the Feywild and from like the Fey creatures. It's much more it's much more in tune with animals and being able to understand and stuff. So speaking Sylvan to the wolf would help them to understand our meaning, our intention. If we offered it rations, that would also help. And if we used our animal handling check, then we're pretty good at that. And so we might be able to start to calm this wolf down. Between you and Verin, it might go well. If you try an animal handling check and it goes particularly poorly, then there's a chance that it bites you and attacks you, and there's just no dealing with it until you have to kill it. But we'll see. What if we threw the rations down to it instead of having to get in range of it to hand it over? Yeah, we could do. Lazy Titan, you still here? All right, Lazy, what are we doing? What do you reckon? If you need to know anything about the situation, just let me know. We're standing on the top of a dead ogre. We've got an angry wolf that's attacking our elven friend who's trying to hold it at bay. Use the magic rope to tie the wolf up, incapacitate it. Bloody genius. Bloody genius, remembering that we've got a magic rope that can incapacitate people. All right, easy peasy. So, you see, you in point blank into the head of this ogre, intimidating the goblins into running away, gibbering in the goblin language, and then hiding amongst the trees as they run. And Mel goes, you hear her say almost to herself, "You're not getting away from me!" And she's up into the air and off after them. And you don't like the chances of seeing another morning. She starts to disappear on the horizon. You hear this as it's trying to grab a hold of his neck, and he's grabbing it and manages to stand himself to his feet. And as you're seeing this, you think you grab another arrow out, and you think, I really don't want to. I wish I could just tie it up. And you shout, "Tie it up!" And the rope from your belt springs into life and fires itself forwards as an action. The majority of the mind would definitely have disagreed with that, yes. As an action, the rope springs itself forwards, and the wolf has to make a dexterity saving throw, I think. Let me just double check. Dexterity saving throw, DC 15. Or it becomes restrained. Bloody genius. Alright, wolf, where are you? Dexterity saving throw. The dexterity is pretty good for a wolf. I can get rid of that ogre now, and Mel's militia. I don't need those anymore. Wolf, where did I go? I accidentally closed the wolf stats. Where are you, wolf? Wolfie boy, wolfie baby, where are you? Here you are. Dexterity has got a +2. Alright, roll it. Roll D20 +2. Here it goes. 11. 11 is not 15. So it is seemingly sufficiently distracted trying to bite at Verin. And it doesn't see this snaking, this rope weave its way through the air as if by magic, because it is by magic, and instantly wraps down round its back, under its torso, round the back of the neck, between the front legs, up again over the torso, back around. It starts to tighten as it does so. The wolf, and then it falls to its side, and it's basically hogtied and wrapped up in a rope cocoon, and it is out of combat. And with that, Lazy Titan brings the combat to an end. You hear a distant from a goblin that's just been struck by Mel's stinger. And then I'm going to make a check for a perception check on behalf of on behalf of Mel, to see if she can find the other guy who's hiding. She does. She actually got really high. She got 19 plus her perception modifier, which is pretty good. So she finds him and also takes... Actually, I'm going to roll to see if she takes damage, takes any damage before she manages to take him down, just to speed things along. I'll just put it down to a roll. Right down the middle. So yeah, she's going to take about the same damage as she took from the first attack, but she manages to kill him off. So Mel comes back to you looking bloodied. One of her legs has been slashed and is almost severed. But she kind of hobbles and wobbles back over to you. She's definitely finished off the last of the goblins. She didn't want them getting away. You finished off the ogre, all of the goblins. You've managed to restrain this wolf. I'll say that over the next, however long it takes, because there's no limit on how long this restrainment rope can work. I'm pretty sure. Yep, there's no restrainment on no constriction on how long this restraining rope works. So you just keep it tied up as long as it takes for you to calm it down. Use your animal handling. You give it some rations. You show that show it that you're not a threat to it, and you treat it kindly. It's not used to seeing kindness because of how it's been beaten into submission by the goblins. You definitely pick up your sword again, and eventually this wolf kind of comes around and judges you in a curious, suspicious way. It's still angry and upset because it's being threatened. It's backed into a corner effectively, but eventually you use the Elvish word that you have practiced, getting this thing back and forth, and you release the rope, and the wolf is released and gets to its feet. And then you and Varen are just standing there, not threatening it. You've put your weapons away, and you're just showing it that it's not a threat to you. And you're not a threat to it, and it moves back. It gets to the goblin boss, and it just tears at the goblin boss's face, realizing, as you've seen before, that its boss is not in a position to hurt it anymore, and it takes its aggression out on the goblin boss's corpse. Not really for food by the looks of it, because he just seems to bite and tear and not actually eat or devour. Eventually, just takes off into the forest and disappears. And that's where we're going to leave it for today, guys. You look around the battlefield, you see several dead elves from this village, several destroyed buildings, and a big bag of loot that the ogre was stealing from this village and others. So we'll leave it there, and we'll pick up there next time with the aftermath of this fight and where we want to go from here. So have a think about that. Have a think about what we do from this point.